Welcome to a look into the life of Ajahn Sumino Bhikkhu. An Americans are some of the most revered and follow the strictest rules set down by the Buddha himself over 2,600 years ago. Ajahn Sumino was born in Chicago. He was a law student, was an entrepreneur with a very successful business, lived the corporate fast lane lifestyle until he dropped it all. As he began by telling me, the emphasis on knowing who you are is the priority. I then began asking this Buddhist monk questions about hope, happiness, meditation, birth, aging, death. Can you tell us about meditation, what it is, and why do it?
It comes down to the basic question that's underneath that is, what's to do in this lifetime? Why are we here? What's it for? What's the point of it all? If we understand that, or at least we get a little bit of a sense of what that could be, we understand that we're really spiritual beings. We're here to learn. This is a learning environment. This is a learning situation. But what's to learn? Do we need to learn how to put kids' bicycles together, more software stuff? These things are okay. They're useful in the world. But the primary thing, the thing that's most important, is to learn who we are. If we don't know who we are, how can we function in the world? We don't know our place. We don't know our purpose. We don't know what our best intention should be. We don't know what's skillful. We don't know what's ethical. We don't know anything. Essentially, we're disabled. And the meditation is the thing that activates and enables us, it empowers us. It empowers us to know the way things are in the present moment. Who we are, why we're here, what's the point of things, how can we best use this short span called a lifetime to the best advantage, not only for ourselves, but for our friends, our family, our community, and the whole world.
Birth, aging, illness, and death. This is something that I hear Buddhists talk about.
This is the reality. If there's birth, there's going to be aging, there's going to be sickness, there's going to be death. Our whole focus, for most of us, is only on the birthing. You know, if you go to a hospital and you see people in the maternity wards and when babies are born, everybody's delighted. They love the birth cycle, the birth sequence. But the death cycle, the death sequence, people aren't interested in that. If we understand that these things are inevitable, if there's birth, there's going to be death. Sometimes people come to me and they say, oh, why did he have to die? He was so young. I mean, they say this about people who are 80, too. They say, he was so young, he had so much to live for. I say, well, because he was born, right? If you're born, you're going to die. And we're not our mind. So where does that leave us? Think about that.
Mindfulness. What is mindfulness?
Okay, that's a good question. Mindfulness is critical. You either are aware of what's going on in the two things that I brought up, the body and the mind, or you're not. If you're not aware, you're asleep. Mindfulness knows what's going on in the present moment. That's all it is. It's just that awareness factor. There's no more sleep time. Sleep is gone. There's just awake.
Change, suffering, no self. Why are they grouped together? What does this mean?
Well, they're grouped together because they're a principle. They're true in every moment, every situation that comes up. They're law. Change is, everything is in flux and flow. Most people can't even see that. This is kind of the basic one, the basic part of those three aspects. Everything is in flux and flow. Yeah, you might have think of yourself as being the same person you were 10 years ago, but you're not. Everything's changed. You're not anything like the person who was 10 years ago in this body, in this form. Suffering, or unsatisfactoriness, that's going to continue all the time. It's got to be there. If there's change, there's going to be suffering. You're not going to want things to change. You're going to suffer. And suffering is could be there all the time because change is there all the time. They're linked together. Third one, no self, is the most sophisticated one. you think about yourself as being a person all the time. You think you're a son or a father or a brother or a caregiver, a worker, a consumer. You have all these identities. None of them are true. You can see that if you got up right now and you walked and you just watched yourself walking. Greg is walking. You have that perspective. So you're not that. There wouldn't be that perspective there if you were who you think you are. So we can start to see this key one, because all the suffering comes from this last one, thinking you're somebody. If you're nobody, where is suffering going to come from? What's it going to stick to? Mm-hmm. Or is this a fantasy? Is it a fantasy that there actually is somebody there? We have to brainwash ourselves to think there isn't? Well, some people might think of it that way, in a kind of an intellectual way, philosophical corner on that. But it's not propaganda. It's reality, and it's not easy to come to, and that's why meditation, or the practice of developing the mind and seeing things as they are in the present moment, both in the body and mind, will lead you to understanding that there's nobody there. There's no continuous, permanent entity that's going to, even after the body dies, reappear in some other form, because there never wasn't anybody there in the first place. Actually, the biggest fear we induce ourselves, or we can say we buy into, and that is through desire. The more desire you have, and this is what the culture is about, buying more things and creating more passion for stuff, the more desire you get, whether it's for the next new car or the big screen TV or the new telephone, there's always a fear behind that. And what's the fear? The fear is that you're not going to get what you want. Or once you get it, someone else is going to take it. So this fear just keeps building, and then you end up with so much fear to go through that, like to really take a step into the spiritual world, whether you want to be a monk or a nun or just be a person who lives a spiritual life, you have to have at least a modicum of boldness to be able to push through the fear. Probably the best way to go about doing that is just to cut down on your desires. If you want little and you're willing to live a simple life, spend more of your time in introspection and knowing who you are and what you're here to do, then the desires will fall away, because wisdom will arise, and the more wisdom arises, the less you want, the more you see things as they are. There's only right now, the present moment. There's only the ability to develop ourselves, evolve ourselves. And once we've gotten to a point where we're able to take care of ourselves, we can take care of other people. And then life becomes very easy. You just do your duty, looking after yourself in the best possible way, looking after other people in the best possible way. Doubt is nothing less than confusion. It creates hesitation. It makes sure that you don't have the ability to be intuitive. When people talk about thinking out of the box, they're talking about getting out from under doubt. When people talk about first thoughts, dealing with your first thoughts and seeing that as the best creative mode, that's getting out from under doubt. But when you have doubt, when doubt takes a foothold, when you have a situation where you're always looking at two things. You see, one thing is having a lot of advantages, and that regardless of whether you're in a supermarket and you're trying to pick out rolls of toilet paper, or when you're in a car dealer and there's a Chevrolet in one showroom and across the street Toyota and then a Ford and whatever, Honda. You can look at them all and they all have their advantages. And doubt will keep you just going from one to the other. Well, this one here is better, and this one's prettier, this one has a longer guarantee, this one's cheaper, this one is better service. The difference between all of that stuff, and we're talking about toilet paper or cars, are really marginal. This is marginal differentiation. But the mind will go crazy once it's immersed in doubt, in trying to get you to find the perfect selection, that you get it just right, and so that you can resolve your doubt. But you never will. You can't resolve doubt by swimming through doubt. You resolve doubt by taking the mind above doubt, and you see doubt as doubt. Doubt is doubt. Doubt is a thing, can be seen with awareness. And when doubt is seen, then doubt disappears. In fact, anything that goes into your mind, if you see it with awareness, it disappears like poop. Supposing you have depression, supposing you feel uneasy or anxiety, you just look at that as a condition, as an object of awareness, and it's gone.
Is it true that most people think that they are their thoughts? We are what we think we are. We are what we think. I think I'm in confusion. I think I'm lost. I think I'm broke. I think I'm wealthy. I think I'm happy. If we think we are thoughts, what's going to be the result of that?
Well, as long as you take thinking as personal, then when you have a positive thought, you're going to feel pretty good about yourself. When you have a negative thought, you're going to feel not so good. You're going to be going from positive to negative. The mind will never be balanced. The balanced mind doesn't feel any particular bias towards either pleasure or pain. It just sees things as it is. This is the wisdom perspective, not to take it as a personal problem when something comes up in your mind and you feel confused or doubtful or angry or envious or any of the stuff goes on in our daily life. You just recognize these are conditions. They arise and they pass away, and they're not us. They're not us at all.
About meditation, would there be something you could offer us as a jumping off point, a starting point in beginning meditation?
Right. Well, if somebody is really ready to make a commitment to their spiritual life, they're going to want to find out how to meditate. When you start, you don't quite know what meditation is about or what it's for or where you're going or why do it even. But there's going to be something inside you that's willing to experiment. First thing you want to do is simplify your life and get your life into a program that works, a program that allows the mind to get more quiet and more peaceful. First phase of that is get up early. Of course, if you get up early, you got to go to bed early also. And so instead of watching the late night movies, you're willing to sacrifice that to enjoy the 4 and 5 o'clock peaceful hours in the morning, which are quite unique and refreshing. And when you get into that mode and you start getting up early and sit and walk, contemplate and read books that are inclined to bring your mind towards a perspective of knowing the present moment, both in the body and the mind, and you're going to find yourself feeling much more alive, much more awake, and a certain appreciation for that quiet mind state that doesn't really occur unless you're by yourself, sitting quiet in the morning. And beyond that, then you just the rest of your life is developed around simplicity of not getting into complicated things, not trying to find ways of keeping yourself busy, moving around. When you have free time, you don't have to think about going bowling or watching the Idol show or whatever thing is happening. You just think about where can I find more space, more time to myself so that I can learn more about who I am.